So the last exercise that we did when we were here is we practically just helped everybody discover what their highest values are, which is based around Dr. John DeMartini's work, where he also got it from studying ancient Greeks when it comes to purpose, a purpose-driven goal, a purpose-driven life. So the exercise that we did is we then identified what someone's highest values are or what someone's highest priorities are. So if you look at life, we have 7 different areas of life. We have finance, we have family, we have social, we have mental, we also have a physical aspect of life, we have vocational, as well as, I always forget the last S, it's the spiritual. Thank you so much, Rushana. So in all those 7 areas, everyone has them in terms of priorities. Somewhere, somehow, if someone's highest priority is family, you find that within the family, there's someone who they regard to be their highest priority, where they'll drop everything and do something for their child. But then as you go lower down, so think of it as a ladder, you then start to see that this person needs more motivation to do something. And that we classify it as something that is lowest in their values or lowest in priority for that person. And that's why, like I said, that's why the motivational industry is so big, because Monday to Friday, 90% of the people are living according to their lowest values, or they haven't figured out how to tap into what is their highest values or their highest purpose. The ancient Greeks called this the telos, which is the study of being. What's his name? He wrote the book called Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. He called it your highest purpose. This has been the greatest exercise that I've done in my life. I do it every 3 months just to see, okay, where is my value aligned to? And every single time I do it, it's a different revelation. And the more you get to live within your highest values, the more order you get to see, the more you're able to manifest things in life. If we could use a practical example, Warren Buffett. If you look at Warren Buffett, what stands out? What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say Warren Buffett? Money, right? So that's how you identify him. Do you identify him with being a spiritual leader? And he doesn't mind that. Do you identify him with being a great chef or great cook? And he doesn't care less. And that's how values actually work. But in society, how it works is you have your highest values. Then you meet somebody else who has their highest values. So for example, investing is very high for Warren Buffett. But if you run into someone like who just recently lost a lot of money that you can think of.
Me.
Rushana, right? Then you find that wealth building or investing is low, yeah. But then what happens is the moment someone doesn't know what their highest values are or what they're good in or what they would love to really do is they meet celebrities and then they try to copy celebrities, letting go of who they really are, trying to imitate them. And as Ralph Waldo Emerson says that, he says that imitation is practically suicide. So what happens is you end up killing who you are, trying to be somebody else. But that's not to say that you don't have wealth in your highest investments. If, for example, a child is your highest purpose or your highest value, you can still sell your child and get money off it. That's if you value money enough to sell the child, you see. So it's, like I said, it's one of the greatest exercises you can ever do. We'll probably do another one of those. It gets you to see the reality of your life, takes away what the whole thing is. And that's basically how you go about setting goals. For the last 2 years, that's how I've been going about setting goals. Setting goals according to my highest values. And you can probably see that teaching and speaking is one of those that pop up most of the time. The other one is just doing research. Research on anything that could move human beings forward. It's taken me to all sorts of directions, and I ended up reading two very classical books. I suggest you write these two books down. It's written by Jim Collins. If you ever want to see what makes companies really, really successful, read From Good to Great by Jim Collins. As well as the one that I'm currently reading now is titled Built to Last. Built to Last.
So built and past.
Good to great, and then built, yeah, as in past tense. Yes, very accurate. Did you ever love English in school? You did, right? Okay, cool. So, what those two books speak about, they speak about this philosophy or this way of looking at things, is that even when you study family wealth, generational wealth as well, it's all based on the value structures of a family, value structures of a business. For Standard Bank to exist for 150 years, it had to have certain values in place. And if you research any company, you find that the most successful person in that company is the person that is actually living out the values of that company. If you look at the 8 values of Standard Bank, you'll find that the CEO of Standard Bank lives out those 8 values. He's speaking in the values of that company. That's why he's able to succeed in that company. And that's the highlights that the two books speak on. They speak about how to actually go about setting the right values that could take your company forward to whatever economical changes they can go through. And one of the greatest companies that speak about this is actually Sony. Sony started off by not knowing what product they want to sell, but they started off by saying, okay, I want to build a company that lasts, so therefore our highest value is to always tap into the unknown. And they've lasted for I don't know how long. And that's the whole basis of those two books. So identifying your values is something that is really, really great. But for today's purpose is we're going to talk about goal setting. And within goal setting, we're going to touch on specific timeless principles. Timeless principles that are in nature, that if you study them, you'll actually see that, oh, this makes sense. And this is also linked to human behavior. So if you look at how nature works, or the universe works, what would you say is the most organized organism in existence? When you look at everything, from trees to planets to everything, what would you say is the most organized organism that exists?
The way our galaxies are.
Yeah, the way our galaxies are aligned. But then within, let's look at our solar system. In our solar system, what's the thing that is most organized in our solar system? No, our solar system.
Our solar system.
Yeah, as in the Earth's solar system, not all the 100 other ones. Our one. Within the planets.
The way they move, the rotation.
Yeah, the way they move, they rotate. What do they rotate around?
The sun.
The sun. So in our solar system, the greatest thing that is organized organism is actually the sun. That's why plants, trees, and every organism grow towards the sun. Why is that? It's because the sun only does one thing. It's organized and it's structured to do one specific thing. That's why everything wants to go towards it. And if you look at every structure in society, it's organized always towards what is most organized. What's most organized gets to occupy the greatest space and time and gets to live out the longest. That's a general principle of how things work. You look like you have a question.
No, I was looking at the animals. I was thinking about lions.
About?
The lion.
Yes.
Like the alpha
Yes.
is the most organized. Everything that goes around it. Like even if they have to hunt, the alpha gets to eat first. So he ends up living longer.
Because he's the most organized. As well as you go into any company, you find that the most organized person in a meeting, in the organization, is the person that everyone revolves around, which goes back to goal setting, where if your life is structured around your goals, you get to organize the universe, you get to organize the people around you as well. Ever since I started to organize my life around being goal-driven according to my purpose, you start getting different types of opportunities that start to open up, which is what we're going to go into. Can someone please go into Google and just look up something that two principles, please. The first one I need you to look up, please look up the word entropy. It starts with an E. Yeah, entropy is in thermodynamics. And just please read out what entropy is.
Thermodynamic quantity representing the unavailability of a system's thermal energy for conversion into mechanical work, often interpreted as the degree of disorder or randomness in the system.
Yeah. So this touches on the chaos theory, is that when you look at thermodynamics, or any matter that is, the less organized it is, the more chaos it's going to be in. And anything that is in chaos is just unorganized information. It's not to say that the energy is not there. The potential energy is always there. But once you organize it, it doesn't decay, you then create a system. That touches on thermodynamics. And another principle to look at is, please look up the principle of least action, or the principle of least effort.
The principle of least effort is a broad theory that covers diverse fields from evolutionary biology to web page design. It postulates that animals, people, even well-designed machines will naturally choose the path of least resistance or effort.
Effort, which ties back into what we do, is what we're not masters in, we tend to delegate it. If you throw a stone is not going to fly in the direction of where it has to meet the most challenges. It looks for the least possible way to get to its destination, which follows the principle of the law of least action, where it follows its highest purpose. It doesn't know that, but that's what it does at all times. So this is what we're always seeking within our highest purpose. But what comes in the way is, again, not knowing what our highest values are and what we're really here for. So the first exercise that we're going to touch on is, I want you to write down at the top of the page something that you would like to be. It doesn't matter what it is. Just write it down. What is it that you would like to be? You can use a cell phone, it's fine. You're going to be a supermodel or anything. Write down a goal. Doesn't matter what the goal is. It's just for the purpose of the demonstration of this exercise that we're going to do. Yeah. Write down anything in those 7 areas. Do you want to accumulate more money? Do you want to be a great family man? Do you want to have 16 children? Just write down anything. This is a technique that I taught high school students in terms of just hacking into your mind and cutting out the clutter that's going on in your mind. Does everyone have something down? You write down what you want to be. Then, secondly, from there is write down what you have to do in order to be that. What are the things that you have to do in order to be that? Pretty great students today, should So do we have it there? So on where you wrote what you have to do in order to get that, of that you wrote down, how many of those things are emotional? Or how emotional is it? On the have to do. So for example, what is the things that one of the things that you said? What is the thing that you said that you would like to be?
Do you mean like, is it an emotional thing you have to do, or is it just gonna trigger emotion?
Well, is it emotional what you said that you have to do? Is it an emotional, does it have an emotional content to it? Or is it a strategy to get it done? It's just purely strategy.
Yeah,
Okay?
but there is emotion by me wanting to do that.
By you wanting to do it. So it prompts an emotion within you to actually want to do it. Right? 100%. And you, Malcolm?
So, for me, it's a case of just sharpening my. So I don't know if it's emotion. Emotion in terms of pride, you know. So for me to do this, I need to be meek.
You want to be meek.
I need to be meek in order for me as one of the tasks, you know. And that's a form of let go of the emotion that you have of pride, because pride can be emotional.
So what is that tied to? What is it tied to? It has to be tied to a specific thing. Think of a goal that you want to accomplish. Let's start there. Let's just give me one goal that you'd like to accomplish.
Be a great leader.
So you want to be a great leader. So what is it that you have to do to be a great leader?
Learn how to serve with meekness.
Learn how to serve with meekness. So it's got an action attribute to it, right? So how many of us, when you're taught to set goals, is that you just taught, okay, set this goal and then that's it, and it stops there. But then as soon as you set that goal, yes, you have the strategy to go on with it, but then what happens after you get the strategy to do it? You start to lose what?
You lose interest if it's not something that lies with your values. You're gonna end up not wanting to do it, or the passion that you had in the beginning. Because everyone talks and they tell you, okay, no, do this, but they're talking from their passion, so they're getting you excited about it. But if it's not something that aligns with you, they're not in your face the whole time to keep on doing that, so you're gonna end up losing interest in it.
So you go back and you need motivation to retry and do it. Okay, so 80% of what's going on in your head is other people's voices.
Yes.
Okay, and we all know what affirmations are, right? What if you could then set a personal affirmation to get that done? But the way I'm going to teach you how to set an affirmation is we're going to take out the emotions out of it. Because just what happens is the thing that you want it as long as only you receive good with it. As soon as you receive the opposite of it, you tend to not want it anymore because you're seeking what is called the one-sidedness of things. But how the world works and how things really work is if you're organized, you're going to attract a lot of disorganization because you're playing out the complete opposite of that. That's why someone who's in a room who's organized, as a lot of people that are disorganized look into the one. The same way with how the sun works is everything around the sun does what? It moves, but the sun is still. It organizes the whole solar system around what it wants, which is the principle that we're going to do now is when you set the affirmation, you set what you want to be, you said, okay, this is what I have to do. Now you have to now set your own personal affirmation that is not either positive or negative, but just balances out the two that will get you to that. So if you can give us an example of an affirmation, what would you say an affirmation is?
Affirmation.
Yeah, what is it? What is an affirmation? What's the meaning of affirmation?
To confirm something that hasn't really happened.
It's to confirm something that hasn't happened. So if you had to tie in with you wanting to be a great leader and you having to be a more meek of a person, how would you then set an affirmation for yourself that speaks to those two levels? How would you go about writing down an affirmation that speaks to those two aspects?
then like a baby step.
Baby step.
Yeah.
Is there like a baby
yeah,
step?
to get to that.
Okay,
Because
so
you're still gonna have the emotion involved. You're gonna say that, like tell yourself that you are more meek today. Because you know to get to where you want to be as a leader, you're saying that you want to be more meek. So you're like telling yourself, okay, be more meek, be more meek.
but what's likely to happen
You get frustrated.
within being a leader? Are you going to get frustrated at some point? So are you going to be meek all the time as a leader? But then what happens is the moment he's not meek, he tells himself that he's not a leader. But what affirmation can you set that speaks to both sides of that?
That speaks to both sides of that.
Both the positive and the negative.
I think the question is, will you ask yourself, why am I doing that?
Okay.
And find the why in that, and try and have the information
Behind the bigger why.
based on the why.
Okay. So what affirmation could you then set for yourself?
I'm doing this to help the many, for instance. It's like I'm doing this for a greater cause.
Okay. And then how would you then set a personal affirmation for that? You're on the right track. You got the word in. I'm doing this to help the greater many. What could be a personal affirmation to set for yourself?
So, for instance, like with pain, if there are emotional triggers,
Yes.
I would know that change comes with its stresses.
Okay.
So I know that something's happening.
Okay.
So to affirm, to say that this is growth.
This is growth.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what is personal affirmation, because what you want to do is you're going to go through these affirmations every single day. I've got about over 40 that I go through. One of the ones that I use is I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom every day. So that doesn't have, it's directly correlated to what? To me wanting to research. So what I want to do is I want to be, let's just say, intelligent, right? And what I have to do is I have to read different types of works. I have to read stuff like philosophy, and you know how difficult philosophy really is. It can drive you crazy sometimes even. But the affirmation is I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom every day. So that speaks to what I have to do as well as what I want to be. There's no emotional attachment to it. There isn't, okay, I'm a happy reader all the time, because when you read, there are moments where you're not going to read. So in your cases, you're saying you want to be a leader. And what you have to do is, you have to do what? In order to become a leader?
Be a meek servant.
Is to be a meek servant. And what is being a meek servant?
To follow diligently. Like
Okay.
learn how to serve the next person.
So you see that that's very emotional. It's emotionally attached. It's not a strategy that he can implement, because what will happen down the road? Are you going to come across difficulties having to do that? You're not going to be meek all the time. So what will then be your strategy in order for you to be a great leader? What is it that you'll have to do? Once you remove the emotion out of it, you'll get to be okay. You get to see the broader picture of it. What is it that you'll have to do? Come up with different types of strategies. Would you help? How would you do? Name a person who you believe to be a great leader.
So basically, find a perfect profile that will fit that leadership thing.
Yes, any leader. Just give me an example of any leader. Because I can think that Hitler is a great leader. Because there's something specific that he did with Hitler.
Yeah. So, debatable.
Which is totally up to you. Yes.
Like Obama.
Okay, Obama. So you like his leadership style.
Yeah.
So what specifically do you like in his leadership style?
The fact that he broke the status quo.
Okay, he broke the status quo.
Yeah.
Okay, so in order for you to be a great leader, what will you have to do?
Break the status quo.
Okay, so how do you set an affirmation that breaks the status quo in your leadership capacity?
Challenge the status quo for the better.
Okay, so your personal affirmation would be, I always challenge the status quo for the better. See, there's your personal affirmation.
Is it not emotional?
It is, but it's got both sides to it. It's not you're planning around the fact that, you know what, I'm gonna have hardships. So when the hardships comes, like, oh, okay, I'm challenging the status quo, because when he says, you know what, Malcolm, you're not such a great leader. What's going on in your head?
Challenging it.
You're challenging the status quo. So now you're organizing your environment according to the challenges. And that's how you go about that, setting goals and setting affirmation. What's the other information that you can set for that? It has to do with that.
It's basically
So
Yes.
if you had to say, I will take each day as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? In a sense, it's you understanding that there will be better days and there will be worse days.
Yes.
So you are open to all the days, not expecting just good days only.
Yes.
So with an affirmation that says, I will take each day as it comes, with all its challenges, would that be affirmation?
It is an affirmation, but
Would it have an emotional attachment to it?
it does, but you see, it doesn't speak specifically to a goal. It's not tied up to what you want to be or what you want to have. So imagine if I wake up and say, okay, I'm gonna take each day as it comes, better or worse. I'm gonna take the day as it is. What's that programming me to do? It's not action oriented. So perhaps let's do this, right?
Aren't you gonna be absorbing all the chaos then?
Exactly.
No.
So you're putting yourself in a position where you're just observing and you're just reacting to, oh, okay, that person thinks that I'm great, so okay, I'm gonna be great. That person thinks that I'm bad, oh, okay, so I'm gonna be bad. You're not directing. Remember when I said that when you look at the sun, how the sun behaves is, this is what the sun is, all it does, it shines. It doesn't matter what's going on, and then it aligns the environment according to what it is, because it's the most ordered state, or most ordered organism that exists that we know, thus far in our solar system. So when you do that, is perhaps let's just backtrack a bit. Is there are three aspects to existence. There is your soul, and then there's your mind, and then there's your body. At this level here, which is the level of the soul, this is unconditioned. It's infinite. It doesn't know existence. If we could draw a line, we could say that this is an infinite line, it doesn't stop. It goes on and on and on and on and on. We don't know where it stops or where it begins. That's the level of the soul. But what happens is, when we start to scale things down, is we then start to have dualism within our minds. We have what is called the positive aspects of our minds, and we then have a negative aspect of our minds. The moment those two minds are not equilibrated, the moment you see more positive or more negative, you're creating what is called a reality. And the moment you create a reality, we could say you're creating a body reaction towards things. So what I'm trying to do is, the moment you set a goal is to equilibrate these two things here, so it gets you to the level of the soul, where you actually see that nothing is really missing. That's just a little bit of the exercise. Is in your affirmation, when you tell your mind to equilibrate to see both sides, you're not seeing reality from an emotional point of view. You're seeing it from a soul's message, which is then your mission, which is the thing that I asked you to say, okay, write down something that you want to be. That is something that it's a soul's message that is coming from you. So once you see both sides equilibrated, you start to move differently. So how can you, so give us an example of what you said you would like to be.
So it's around my career.
Yes.
So I said I want to be a lawyer.
You want to be a lawyer. All right, so what is it that you have to do in order to become a lawyer?
Well, to study, qualify, get a degree,
Mhm.
and that's the vertical. And yeah, this is
That's being a lawyer. So now go back to the affirmation that you told me now is no matter what happens, I take each day. Is it connected? You see, so how do you then connect those two? Is to say, okay, you want to be a lawyer. What you have to do is to study hard, to meet the right people, to do all of that. So what affirmation can you set that speaks to those two things? I can be a little bit hard because here's the thing is a child done this when we worked with her and 10 minutes later, one of her affirmations was, no matter where I am, I'm always at the right place at the right time to meet people who are aligned with her wanting to be a specific doctor. I don't even remember that word. That's what she said, that's what she said. And then 6 minutes later, there was someone in the room who said, you know what, I've already studied that. And I know people who have studied the same thing. And that was her affirmation. So let's play around with what you just said there for a little while. So what affirmation could he set that has to do with those two things?
So those two things being
What you want to be and what you have to do. What affirmation can you set that has to do with that?
Just a quick one.
Okay.
So, because I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Yes.
And I think where you're coming from is a formation from the soul's point and not necessarily the mind's point, because the mind deals a lot with emotion.
Yes.
So if that's the case, there's a guy, a philosopher, a psychologist, he's a everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the top guys I look up to. His name is Jordan Peterson.
Mm-hmm. Jordan
Jordan Peterson has this one belief. He's got this a video called 22 Laws of Life, Rules to Life. Amazing. His first rule is never lie. Never lie. And his second rule is always do what you love, which speaks to the first rule, to never lie. Because if you never lie, you'll always live in your truth. And it speaks to that information. No matter what I do today, let me be honest to myself.
So let's play around with your mind a bit, just to clarify. Yeah, what's the affirmation? It can be something stupid. It really doesn't matter, as long as it just ties in. Because you could even say, like, I'm a genius and apply my wisdom every day, or I'm a genius of a lawyer. You know, like those types of affirmations. Okay, I'm a genius of a lawyer. No matter comes my way, I know how to handle it. I'm the number one law-abiding citizen. That doesn't make sense. What are those affirmations? I didn't mean it to get intense, but it is a fun session. But how? What are the things that you can play around with? Just use your imagination. Forget what you've been taught all these years about you can, you can't. Those are the voices outside of you. Because the reason why I wanted to make it standardized for you so that you can actually feel that voice that, oh, okay, this is me who is speaking. Or unless, if you want a different type of technique, to connect the two is, are you a very spiritual person?
I'm not very spiritual.
Okay, you're not very spiritual.
Are you thinking about spirit or religion?
Both, right? But
Religion and spiritual,
you could even use spiritual language that speaks to this level here. Is what are some common spiritual language that we have, like divine, God, right? What are those languages? Like spiritually, or you can say spiritually within my every existence, I feel that I feel the need to pursue my purpose in being a lawyer. Is that something that you could use? What's one of them that you could use? good. Blank is good because you're thinking. You're thinking that, oh, okay. Or perhaps let's find another goal, just for you to get the gist of this exercise. That's the one that you really want. You see, so it speaks to you. Okay, so what's the affirmations that we can say? What are the other things that you need to be doing in order to become the lawyer? Do you need to be meeting the right people?
Yes.
Okay, what type of people do you need to be meeting?
People who are in the field, people who are lawyers.
Okay, so let's use this one affirmation. Is no matter where I am, I'm always in the right place, right time to meet the greatest lawyers in South Africa. Write that down. Please write it down and let's see how it plays out. And then expand the list, play with it. I don't know, take it wherever you want to take it.
So is it believe your goals? I know we're setting our goals, so we actually need to believe that our goals have already come true. Like that.
100%, because then you'll be realigning your environment, because everything is based on perception. Because your mind is perceiving things, you know, it's perceiving things in the environment all the time. What I see here is a table, but I'm linking it to something else. You could see the same table and think something different. So this is just a simple technique that once you get the hang of it, you'll be like, oh shoot, this guy was crazy. And then what's the other information of that nature that you could say? Does it tie in with what you want and what you have to do? What's the other information that you could set for yourself? Should we pick on you? What's your affirmation that you have?
Mine is also, I also need to get a qualification too. I want to be a personal trainer.
You want to be a personal trainer?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was linked to emotion, because it's something, well, going to the gym and being around that environment makes me happy.
Yes.
So I was trying to find something that I enjoy doing every day, something that, because to me, I feel honestly, I want to make people happy, because I've been in the gym helping people, and it's like a, like a drug, like having like actually seeing the people see results or be happy with what they're doing, or actually feel better about themselves, even if it's just for that hour. So yeah, so that's what I want to do.
You want to be a personal trainer?
Yes.
So what do you have to do in order to become a personal trainer?
I need to get a qualification.
You need to get a qualification. What else do you need to
And to get my qualification, I need to be able to afford to pay for it.
Okay, you
So
need
in
to be
order
able to afford to pay rent, and what else?
And to pay for it, I need to make sure that I get rid of some of my debt that I have. So
Okay, and
there's
what else?
extra money to pay for that.
Okay, and what else? Would you like to be paid as a personal trainer? So what is it that you want to be? You want to be paid as a personal trainer.
I want to be paid to make people happy.
You're making me happy now, but not in the capacity of being a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So you want to be someone who gets paid to be a personal trainer. So what is it that you have to do in order to get paid as a personal trainer?
Qualification, experience.
What else? You need to get clients. You need to
Yes.
build a profile.
So, yeah. So I'm gonna have to be around people I'm gonna have to but everybody wants to be happy and healthy.
Not me. I don't want to be happy and healthy. Happiness just leads to depression. Yeah. The happier you are, the more depressed you'll be. So I gave up on trying to pursue happiness. So what else? So what's the personal affirmation that ties in to you being paid as a personal trainer?
But I think like the biggest thing, like I was saying, is that I need to believe that I can, because there is a part that's scary, because I'm jumping into an unknown. It's something that I don't know how to do. First of all,
Something you don't know how to do.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. That's why the qualification thing. I don't know how to do it. It's not my usual environment. Like I've just been just around the finance. So yeah.
Okay. So what's the affirmation that you could set for them? I hear the story.
I'm capable.
Stories are emotional things.
Yeah.
And how your mind works, do you know that your mind is divided into two parts? You have your subconscious mind and you have your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. And every time you tell a story, you're reprinting the same emotions all the time. That's why if you go see a psychologist or what they're called psychologists is, the moment the psychologist asks you to write your story, you're reliving it. You're not making a change. Unless that psychologist makes the cause equal the effect at the exact same time. That's when you make a breakthrough. So let's get rid of that story that you're telling yourself, and what's the affirmation that you can say that speaks to both sides of the emotions, the positive and the negative.
I'm capable to do something new.
You see, but that something new is what? It has to be specific.
I'm capable of becoming a personal trainer. One more.
Yeah, expand more.
No, that's I'm like.
Expand. But you see, now you're capable of becoming a personal trainer. That's the positive. Let's add in within that sentence something like, okay, I'm capable of becoming a personal trainer despite all the challenges that come with it. And then what's your second one, Malcolm? Let's expand on that. It's a simple exercise.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a great leader. That was my first one, right? Probably the second one would be become a successful philanthropist.
You want to become a successful philanthropist?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, for the sake of this exercise, let's set up as many affirmations as we can around those two things that you wrote down now.
Okay, cool.
Expand on it. Just go crazy with it.
Just go crazy.
Yeah.
So
Expand on the affirmations. Make the affirmations as strong as possible. What do you have, Shamil? Shamil is my best friend, guys. Yeah. Yeah. You see.
I don't know. My mind's all over the place.
Okay, cool. What's the affirmation that you have? Oh, okay. So what is it that you want to be? What is it you have to do? And let's take it from there.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what I want to be.
You don't know what you want to be. Pick
I have
anything.
this-
Pick
this-
any goal.
Say a business owner.
Okay, so you want to be a business owner. So what do you have to do in order to become a business owner?
Start a business.
You start a business, but you've already started a business, right? Okay, so now you're like, okay, I'm not in business yet.
Okay, I want to be a business owner on a larger scale, I would say, not just
Okay, but what is the largest scale?
franchises, those type of things.
Yeah, so this got a very big one. So he wants to own a franchise. So what do you have to do in order to get that franchise? But here's the thing, guys, is that the bigger the goal, the more have to do's you'll have. Because that's where you'll have more strategies. So he's
Start
a
small.
franchise. So what is it that you have to do? What are the 2 or 3 things that you have to do in order to have a franchise?
Okay, I want to start a franchise, not actually get one. So it would be starting a business off the ground, making it successful, and then selling it to other people.
Okay. And then selling it to other people. That's what you'll have to do. So how do you set an affirmation that speaks to those 2 aspects of being and have to do?
I don't know where to start.
You don't know where to start. Okay. So what is it that you see? What is it that you see as this franchise is being built?
Will it be like emotionally, like helping people, or
You're helping people. What is it that you're seeing? What is it that you're doing at that moment? Because think about your one, right? What was your affirmation, the first one that you came up with?
Well, I didn't come up with. You came up with.
Okay, you came up with it. It's your trademark. It's your trademark. Yeah.
No matter where I am, I'm in the right place to meet the right people.
Yeah. Carry on.
Kind of. Or,
Okay. What's the second one that you came up with?
no matter how difficult will soldier on towards my goal.
Okay. So when he's saying that, he's taking his mind and his body somewhere. So his imagination is getting to work. What's happening to his imagination when he says that? What is it that you're seeing? Are you seeing him going through hardships?
Yeah, you
But
see
at
him
the same
studying.
time, what is he doing?
Yeah.
He's studying besides those hardships. So how do you tie those two in?
For me, it would be keep trying.
To
Never
keep
give up
trying.
after a failure. Because in business, especially nowadays, it's a lot of failure.
There's a lot of failure. Okay.
You gotta keep trying.
So what's your personal affirmation that you can have that speaks to success in business and failure?
Keep it simple. Keep trying. Don't give up.
You see, now listen to your language, right? As you're speaking, it's like you're speaking to somebody else. You're not talking to yourself. That's why you need the I in there. Because the I, now you're directing it towards yourself. How do you then rephrase that and personalize it where it becomes an I thing?
I always need to keep trying, even when times get tough.
Okay. So now you're giving yourself advice. Now make it more personalized into something that you are already doing.
Do I speak onto the business I'm doing, or
It doesn't matter. You already are in business. So within that.
Can you try another example?
Yes.
Challenges are part of my journey. They only make me stronger. Would that be an affirmation?
It is an affirmation, but you have to tie it to something. Because unless it's tied to something, if let's say for example, it's Friday night and you're writing Saturday, and the challenge is, can you write the next Saturday morning with the babalas? That's a challenge, right? So you're gonna end up drinking and going to go write with the challenge of writing with the babalas. Or is the challenge now saying, oh, okay, the challenges that come in the way of me being a lawyer, I know how to get away from them and concentrate on becoming a lawyer. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I think I was looking at it more around the second part that you mentioned, not around the Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. You see, so tie it back up to the thing that you want to be. That's just for the sake of this exercise. We're not going to tie to all other areas. We're just going to take it a simple exercise and okay, I want to be, I have to do, this is how you set an affirmation to it. Just for the sake of this exercise.
So, I motivate and inspire people.
Yeah. Motivate and inspire people.
Yes. To do whatever goal it is. So Julia. So I motivate and inspire people. I'm a brilliant problem solver. I'm great at drawing people together for a specific goal.
Okay.
No matter what I do, I should always be honest with myself no matter what.
You see, you're saying I should. You're giving advice to yourself.
Yes.
Instead, it's what?
I am
Exactly.
honest. I am honest.
To myself.
Okay.
That's the breakthrough I'm looking for.
Getting this.
Right. So let's go back to you, Shimon. I don't want you to give yourself advice like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm bad enough. No.
Okay.
So what words are we not supposed to use?
Don't use shoulds, musts,
Well,
will.
So
Use it in the present tense because time is just something that we've constructed. If you want to look deeper into time, look at Isaac Newton's definition of time and Albert Einstein's definition of time. Isaac Newton said that time moves in a linear equation. Then Einstein comes and says, no, but all time is relativity. You can distort the past, the present, and the future at the exact same time. So you see, so time is something, it's an illusion. You live it now, in the present. Shamsa. Hello.
Okay, so for me it would be, it's a difficult one because I've started businesses before.
Yeah.
Like many.
Yes.
I'd say at least 5 by now. And every time you fail, you get less certain that it's going to work the next time.
Mm-hmm.
So like now I have a good business idea, but I don't even feel like putting everything ahead when I first started my first business. So that's the issue I have.
The confidence or what is it? The belief.
Confidence, is it going to make money, those type of things.
Okay.
So it's a difficult one.
But
So you want to be an entrepreneur that makes money.
Yeah.
So what is it that you have to do in order to make money in your business?
Well, create a want for your product,
Yeah.
You need to create.
a need for your product, a want.
You see. So you need to write down what you need to do. Yes.
Okay, minus my overview. You've already associated, because of what's happened in the past with your previous businesses, you already have this negative connotation of what it is, of how a business is supposed to be. So shouldn't you first be getting rid of that connotation that you have so that you can get back to how you felt in the beginning?
Mm-mm. That's the wrong way to look
Is
at
that
it.
wrong?
I don't want him to get rid of anything. I want you to teach you.
Okay,
how to
at the
get rid of
moment,
something.
I know where my mistakes were. So that's the good part out of it. Every time I failed, I know
Yeah.
this is why I failed. This is what I need to do differently.
See.
So sixth time, hopefully.
No, but I'm saying the emotion, that because I feel like he's linked an emotion to starting it this time
Yeah.
because of everything else that's happened. So shouldn't you change that emotion around?
I think it
Making it-
works for me
He needs to link it because it works for him.
because I.
Who here has the guts to start 5 different types of businesses? You understand? So there's already something in there that keeps driving it.
Yeah.
But he needs to find that inside it. So here's the thing is, how do you link it? Like, you've learned a lot from your 5 different businesses. What's the one thing that you didn't do that propelled your failure maybe? Did you charge people?
There's a lot of aspects to it.
Oh, what is it? You need to start believing more in yourself.
Let's say
believing in
pricing,
your
I would
ideas,
say.
or what is it? Sorry?
Pricing on the products.
Pricing on the product.
Yeah, sell
Okay.
something that's something your customer would actually afford.
Okay. So your biggest fear is, okay, if I charge this, will they pay for it?
Yeah.
So it's a value thing, right? So how do you make a personal affirmation for that? Let's think around. How do you set a personal affirmation? Like, no matter what I charge, I always get clients who are willing to pay for it. Oh yeah.
She's a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. What time is it? Oh, SARS. Any comments so far around the exercise? I know it's a simple exercise, but I only have you guys
It
for
grinds
1
your
hour.
mind.
I think from my side to comment it, it's I think be easier next time if you had set an example, you know, that's and then you bounce off that example
Okay.
because when the questions came through, it was like hot seat questions.
Blank.
You were blank,
Blank.
like, what do you mean? What do you want? What is it you want? You know, but yeah.
I think it's more of you'll never actually ask yourself these questions in your
Yeah.
normal life. So it's nice.
I just wanted you guys to start asking yourself like the right questions. So that's just the simple formula that you guys can use when it comes to setting any type of goal.
The books that you mentioned were.
Look up Jim Collins.